If you could sum your career up in one word, what would it be?
Oh, that was a quick question. Straight in.
We're going straight in. Let's do it.
My career in wrestling or as a whole?
As a whole.
As a whole, undefinable.
I love that. That's a really good. I can't wait to obviously learn the backstory to that because it's really, really obviously a good brand. So, but yeah, we talked to Sadie Gibbs. We've got a lot of stuff to talk about. AEW, Stardom, wrestling, everything in between. Let's roll the intro. Boom. Sadie, we're obviously only on Wednesday. How's the week been?
Very good. Busy. Lots of not rest.
I mean, you literally said before we came on the air, you don't watch TV, so...
I can't focus that long to be... Unless it's really something really emotional and captivating, then it's not... It just doesn't happen.
Can you give us an example?
I've got to have like extreme violence or... It's an example. I'm trying to think of a movie off the top of my head. See, I've got so much going on in my head, I can't just think straight away. But I'm sure it'll come to me a bit later, and I'll just blurt it out in a way.
I think you just basically describe wrestling essentially with violence.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Wrestling, obviously, that. Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant a movie or something, but I can't think off the top of my head.
That's fine, not to worry and stuff like that. Now, obviously, you had your birthday recently. Did you have a good one?
Oh, it was amazing. I was dreading it, to be honest, but then once it came, I was like, no, I don't feel... Because I don't know, there's a thing on age, isn't there? When you start to get in your mid-30s, like, oh. But no, I feel great, and I feel the best I've ever felt, so I'm loving my 30s.
Absolutely. And of course, you're gearing up for a big tour in Japan soon. Talk about that.
I believe very soon. I'm going, on the next Tuesday or Wednesday. This is my third one now since I've been back wrestling. So I'm kind of getting in the swing of it. It's home from home now. I just love it. And I'm really excited this time because it's going to be a lot of Noah as well involved, Noah Magic. So, it's going to be great because obviously they launched the women's championship belt last year when I was there, and I was part of the first ever Noah Women's Rumble. It's what they're going to be doing with that really in the new year.
And how long's the tour for?
I'm back on the 16th of June, so just a little over 2 months.
Awesome. And I guess the thing is, obviously, because you do a lot of traveling, is that challenging for you?
Yeah, I do, because I do like my routines, and just as you get into the swing of things again, like obviously I have my undefinable business and everything as well, so my clients and stuff, I kind of feel like I'm switching it up again, and I'm having to adapt everything. It's just a lot of planning and a lot of structure and organisation, but I've kind of got good at that now. Because again, once you're older, you have responsibilities, and you've got to kind of plan for that whilst you're going on the road,
Yeah, absolutely. So let's obviously take a few steps back, shall we, and stuff like that. Everyone has a story in wrestling. Sadie, how does your story begin?
Oh, so it's really funny because I was in the bodybuilding world. I mean, like everyone, I was a wrestling fan in the 90s and as a kid. And then obviously life as I got older took me away from it. I was a full-time gymnast, and just that took over my life. I used to train even on lunch times at school for gymnastics. But I went into bodybuilding once I got into the fitness industry. And as I was transitioning out of that, I was always still searching. I'm a searcher. I don't give up on my purpose. And I kind of feel the moment I saw this clip, and it was of Natalia and Nikki Bella backstage. It's a long time ago now. Back in 2017, maybe just before that, because that's when I applied for the tryout. But I was like, oh my God, I want to do that. And it was like an advert on, I was like, that's me. I need to do that. And it just set something in me. And I just applied for a WWE tryout, ended up getting one. And this is me being 100% honest. I didn't know anything about the indies. And then being introduced, because I met the Progress team at the time at the tryout. And then I went to my first Progress show. And I just never looked back from that, really. I was just like, wow, this is a crazy world. And I called myself the Amazing Grace because, and I didn't think, a lot of people didn't really get it when I first called myself that, but it was because I just found such a grace in my journey in wrestling. Like it just, yeah. And then I kind of went through the fall from grace once I got released from the contract because of how quick my career progressed. And I didn't really have the chance to grow and evolve within on that journey. So then you get things like the imposter syndrome and all of that once you reach a point that you're not ready for. And then I had this is me just putting my career the shortest because it's been a whirlwind. But yeah, obviously, yeah, I've come right off subject there, haven't I?
No, absolutely, it's absolutely fine and stuff like that. Obviously, you're referring to the AEW stuff and like that. Now that was.
I will do that because my ADHD brain will have me spurring into another story.
That's absolutely fine. I'm just happy to listen and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, obviously, you're talking about the AEW stuff and like that, and obviously, is there more frustration with that because obviously COVID was a thing as well?
I think looking back, I think I dealt with it in a way of just survival. I was like, okay, this is, I've got to focus on this. I'm going to focus on this, and I just kind of went through a bit of a breakup with wrestling at the time. But I wouldn't say I went through frustration feelings. It was more like this is it. Probably like a heartbreak situation, like gutted, But I didn't really feel frustrated or pissed off or angry. It was more like this. It is what it is. So many people are having setbacks because of the pandemic, and I'm no different, So I just adapted and focused on what I could at the time. And then the further I sort of had a break from wrestling and came away from it, I then just said, I'm retiring because it was me giving up. It was kind of like, oh, I'm going to just step away from it now because it just felt so hard to get back into.
Mm-hmm.
In my head anyway. But yeah, no, I didn't go through frustration. It was more a case of, I guess it is what it is, and you just got to adapt and go on. I was on a different journey at the time as well. Like I worked in a prison, helping people, doing undefined, like healthy living within a prison and stuff. And I think I was just on a journey to myself. So yeah, sometimes life gives us a different journey for a reason, and you just got to grab it and make the most of it rather than staying bitter and twisted and staring at the past or what's gone. You just got to utilize what you've been given, the path you've been given, and just see where it takes you from there, really.
Absolutely. So then, obviously, you stepped away from wrestling, but then you came back, obviously, last year and stuff like that. Was the plan always to come back as well for you?
It never left. So this is a funny story. It never left me. I was always talking about it. I unfollowed everything to do with wrestling for a good period of time, especially because when I stepped away, I think all the speaking out came out, and I just unfollowed it all and stepped away from it completely. And then gradually I'd be like looking at things, and I'd always be talking about it with the people around me. And it was actually an ex-partner that I was talking about it, and he turned around and said, "You're a coward." And it just sparked I know.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, well, he said, "You're a coward." And I just thought, what's he mean I'm a coward? And then he just sort of rolled over and went to sleep. And I thought it planted a seed in my head of, oh my God, he's right. Like, I'm not doing something that I really want to do. And I was ignoring myself because I had more fear. And that's hence why the T-shirts came out where fear will no longer define me and stuff like that, because I was letting fear define what I wasn't doing rather than going, no, I want to do this. Let's just take the first step. And yeah, then I just never again. As soon as I made that decision, I committed to it and didn't. And I'm so glad I did because yeah, it's just been a completely different journey. It's been really, really good. So
Absolutely. And what was that like coming back, obviously, from your first match after, I think, was it 3 years you were away?
3 years, but a little over by the time I went to Japan for the first match. My first match back was in Japan.
And what was that like as an experience for you?
Very nerve-wracking. A lot. It was a lot because obviously, yeah, going straight back to. But that was what my gut was telling me I needed to do, and that was where my journey needed to start. So I just followed it, and yeah, I think I just worked well under pressure, and I really had to grow and evolve very quickly out there. So yeah, it was great.
Absolutely. So there's 2 matches obviously I want to talk about because there's 2 of one of my favourites, and it's your recent one with Pro Wrestling Eve against you.
Yeah.
Talk about that match.
That was insane. I mean, I got to wrestle her tag partner Hashimoto in for Sendai beforehand. So I always wanted to wrestle you as well. So it was just great to get that match, to be honest. And yeah, it was hard hitting. It was very hard hitting, but the chemistry and everything I felt during it, and I just love hard hitting matches anyway. It makes me, because it's all, the more things connect for me, the better.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's explosive, high energy, and yeah, just very fast paced. But
Absolutely. If people want to go and see that, it's actually on the YouTube channel, I believe.
yeah, they've actually put it up, yeah, on the Eve channel, yeah.
Go check it out. We'll put a link in the description because it is absolutely a solid match and stuff like that. And the other one was against Nightshade. Talk about that.
I'm glad that's one of your favourites because I said that straight after the match. I said, I mean, and I've had a lot of matches now, but I just said that is up there with just going to be my all-time fave. We've got such a good friendship outside. I think when we got into the ring, the chemistry between us, and that's what makes for a good match. It's a team, like the chemistry you have is so important because it's almost like everything just connects and works. And yeah, I can't explain it because it just felt like such an amazing match.
It is. And again, I think that's on YouTube as well.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Thank you, YouTube. So I want to talk about obviously the brand you built, the undefinable thing. How did this all begin? Because it is really obviously unique and it obviously defines you. Oh, where's she gone?
Hello?
Sorry, you disappeared.
Sorry. Someone tried me. Yep.
So yeah, we're talking about the undefinable brand.
Yeah.
How did it all come about?
So where did it start? So it started in lockdown. I started to be Undefinable Fitness, and then is my picture gone or is it still there on your side?
No, I can still see you.
Yeah. And then as I got into the lockdown, I was doing like a community online, which worked really well for people because obviously everyone was cut off from the world and socializing. Yeah, and then how did it evolve? I think it's just evolved as I've evolved, and I've always done life coaching with my clients. So I've been a PT for 16 years now, qualified at 17, and worked up London for years. But as my vision has always been to do life coaching and be more about mentorship, and I just find I've always been able to kind of get people to see their potential and what it. And that's another thing that I find wrestling is a platform to spark something in people where they go, it initiates something in them. That's why some people will be more inclined to certain characters than other in wrestling because it sparks something and resonates with them. But Undefinable Living's just evolved as I've evolved, and it was massively through lockdown when I built an online community. I was working in the prison at the time and helping people doing healthy living within a prison, which was something in itself. And then it's just continually evolved as I've done the work on myself, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I like about that as well is that you can put like reality in it as well. Do you know, like people's decisions, obviously, where they get defined as things. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you mean like Undefinable as a general brand? How did I shape that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's about you aren't defined by who you think you are. You're defined by who you want to be. Because for so long, and especially during when I walked away from wrestling, I was defined by who I thought I was, and like I let my head win over who I wanted to be. And I think we always have the power to tell our brains at times, no, this is what I want to do, because a lot of the time it's our past self or our limiting beliefs or our conditioning or so many factors that hold us back in becoming more of who we can be.
Mm-hmm.
And it just keeps us stuck and boxed in. Whereas I think if we allow ourselves to be open to the paths that are being shown to us to help us evolve and grow and become more of the person we're becoming, then it needs to be undefinable. The path needs to be undefinable, because if we define what we think is the right path to where we want to be, then we may never get there, because we've got that one way of getting there. And trust me, it never goes as smooth as that. It's always it has to be undefinable. Like my path back to wrestling, you couldn't define it, because it's how the hell have I ended up back here, and how did I have a path away from it for so long? So yeah, for me, it was just, you aren't defined by who you think you are, you're defined by who you want to be. And it just shaped from that. And I never really understood it when I first said that quote. But then the more I've become who I want to be, it makes so much sense to me now.
Yeah, it's incredible. And like I said, obviously previously, I mean, people's decisions, is that a key factor as well, would you say?
Decisions, what do you mean?
So, like, if I give you an example, like, do you know, like decisions like to change something as an example?
So that's everything. So again, people's decisions and choices in that everyday moment could be based on who they think they are. So they could be making fear-based choices because of what their mind's telling them they're not. Or they could be making decisions based off love and belief and faith in who they want to be. But a lot of the time, the world shapes us, especially now with social media and comparison, and it shapes us to be in a scarcity mindset where we do hold our true self back, who we can, rather than fully embodying it and just being who we are and having faith that will get us to our path that we're working towards.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so that's what it is to me.
Absolutely, stuff like that. So, on your wrestling journey and stuff like that, if you could pick one big thing you've learned the most, what would that be?
Oh, that's a tough one to narrow down. The biggest thing that I took from wrestling, especially in the first part when I was wrestling, is know yourself. It's really important in any journey you're going on to know yourself and to have that assurance and be able to communicate who you are, so that it doesn't get shaped by other people's perceptions of you, or because sometimes then perceptions come from a place of envy and jealousy and comparison, and that can end up making you feel smaller. So I would say in anything you're going towards in life and working towards, it's a dream. Know yourself and have that deep rooted purpose and why you're doing something, and that self-belief behind it, and nothing will get in your way.
This is really inspirational, this show already. I'm really happy with this.
That's me as a gender. It's my brain. It's just everything's got a deep meaning. But
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that and stuff like that. So, for fans, obviously, of yours, what do fans not know about Sadie Gibbs?
well, I kind of put my whole life on social media, don't I? So No, what I mean is I like to share all my life experiences on social media, the ups, the downs. That's why I've got Undefinable Living. I put a lot on there. But what don't they know? Probably what I don't know. Is that good enough?
I guess.
I don't know. There's obviously, I would say there's probably not a lot they don't know, really. I mean, ask a question. What was it if you was to ask a question?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, something that you didn't know.
I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Because it's like you said there. Do you know what I mean? If you're posting it online, everyone pretty much knows everything.
Yeah, I share a lot of my personality because there's so many different sides to me. And but obviously the Undefinable as a character in wrestling is raw passion and grit and determination and isn't afraid of anything that comes in a way. So I think probably the side of me is what built. No, everything. I just don't think there's a factor that I hide of my character. So
You're open and honest. Is that what you're saying?
I'm a very open, honest book. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that and stuff like that. So when we posted this on Twitter, we obviously got some fan questions, so we're going to knock a few of these out of the park. At Live for Cora, and this is a 2-part question. First one was, what's your dream opponent in the future?
One?
Yeah.
Oh, one. If the top of my head, Rhea Ripley comes to, if I had to pick one.
Yeah, I would like to see that. I think that'd be an interesting little contrast of styles as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One opponent's quite difficult.
And then the second part was, what's your favorite part of wrestling?
The performance, just having those matches where you come out and you're just on a high and you're just like, wow. The performance itself, I couldn't say it. My favorite part, the adrenaline, the rush, being able to be in control of that adrenaline and your emotions at the same time in the ring is a mastery. So yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I hope that answers your question. Next one was at Antonio JW. Are you going to tour the USA?
Pardon?
Are you going to tour the USA?
I mean, I need to get a visa first.
Yeah, and I've talked to a few people, and I know that's a long process.
Yes, it is. It is indeed.
And then the other one was Fun Time Animation says, will we see more of you this year? I don't know what he means by that. That's the question.
Let's hope so. I mean, they've got a big tour coming up in Japan, which is going to be big with Marvelous, and I normally work with Sendai, and hopes of also working with Marigold during that as well, and Noah. So that's seeing a lot more of me. And yeah, there's a lot more bookings coming in the UK. I've just had an offer for France as well. So yeah, hopefully we'll see what comes of this year. So
Never know, right?
never know.
And then on Instagram, Simon gave, and you kind of touched on it earlier. It says, can traveling as an international wrestler be grueling at times?
It's, again, this is what I said. You've got to be extremely emotionally in control because it can be difficult. So you just have to learn to. I think a big part of wrestling is learning to control your emotions and being focused on. Because yeah, it's I love it though. You can look at the two sides of traveling. You get to see so much of the world and experience so many different cultures and people. So there's two sides, but then you're also isolated a lot. You can tend to feel like you're on your own a lot, but yeah.
I can imagine traveling because it's not. How many hours is traveling roughly? Would you say?
The actual traveling part is normally about to Japan, 24 hours sometimes. Like it's an all day thing. You're on the flight for at least 16 to 17 sometimes.
Here we have. I've got some questions following in now from the fans, so let's knock some of these out. Worm Breezy says, would Sadie love to wrestle Charlie Evans?
Yeah, she's in Australia a lot, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think she works with Eve as well sometimes, so it could possibly be a match in the future. Who knows?
Never know. In Your Head, Change Man says, why are you billed from London and not Kent?
I don't know, actually. Where does it say that then?
I don't actually know. I'm just reading the questions.
Yeah, I'm a Kent girl.
Oh, dear, this is a good one. What's your dream holiday destination?
I've already been there. Bali.
Bit of Bali. Can't beat a bit of Bali, can we?
That's absolutely the most peaceful place.
There you go.
Well, Ubuddies, not the there's some parts that are quite wild, to be fair.
No, absolutely. So, like I said, I mean, do you get the chance? Obviously, you mentioned it earlier about watching wrestling from a fan's point of view. Is it AEW, WWE, or is it a range of stuff?
What do you mean?
So, I ask some people's like, yeah, I tune in to watch AEW, WWE. Are you one of these where you watch as much wrestling as you can?
I watch to learn and to build on my own character and to integrate different styles into my style, because I just believe wrestling's an art form, and especially as a wrestler, you want to be trying to master yours, rather than kind of fixating on other wrestlers' style to be like. You want to kind of go, how can I integrate? So I watch to learn and to kind of master my own art form and how I want to be different. But yeah, I wouldn't say I sit watching full-blown matches all the time. But if I have one that's sent to me and it's like, oh, you could learn from this. So I watch a lot of Joshi wrestling. I really love Joshi wrestling, so I've watched a lot of that. Really studied the Joshi scene as well, because obviously I've spent so much time out there. But yeah, that's where I prefer watching mostly the Joshi wrestling and the old school wrestling.
I'm excited to see what you're going to say about this question. Amy says, if you could wrestle anywhere that isn't a wrestling ring, where would you like to wrestle?
Wrestle anywhere that isn't a wrestling ring. God, that's a hard question.
And this is why we do it live, because we just never know what fans are going to say.
I mean, it's a good question. A beach?
Would that really... A beach, really?
I don't know. That's the first thing that comes to my mind. I just love being on a beach, so let's say beach.
Yeah, you could probably beat somebody up and then just chill out after you've done. Yeah, I can see why you said that.
End up in the sea, you know, it'd be really entertaining.
A beach. I never thought I'd be 30 minutes in kneeling. Sadie Gibbs said she wants to wrestle on a beach. Oh dear, this is what happens, guys. So before you obviously go out and perform and stuff like that, Sadie, how do you get yourself into what I call the zone?
So what I'm learning, because everyone has their own little routine. Mine, I just don't go and zone out and try and, if I'm feeling like really overwhelmed, I have to sit first and do I meditate. That's something that I've really learned, brings me away from my emotions so I can think with more clarity. Because in the past, when I was really emotional and that contributes to anxiety, it would just, I couldn't even think clear. I couldn't remember anything. My brain would just be fogged. Whereas taking the emotions out, that's really important for me before a match. So just being in a completely logical mindset, which is really difficult as an ADHD person. But again, this is what I mean. It's learning to master yourself, which is the one part I've really loved about wrestling. Is I've just gained so much self-awareness from being a wrestler.
Wow, and you mentioned ADHD there. What other challenges obviously you have to face with that, being a wrestler?
I think the majority of wrestlers are neurodivergent. But again, it's such a big spectrum that there's so many different attributes that each neurodivergent person will have to face. So I can only speak for myself, but for myself, my anxiety and the way my brain just switches from one thing to another, it's really hard to gain and a big part of it is that you are a very emotional person, like you feel things so deeply. So that clouds, like I said, the clarity in what you need to focus on at that one point. So I'd say it's just, again, being able, for me personally, it's being able to go, no emotions right now until you walk through that curtain.
Okay, and how do you wind down after a match?
It takes a while, but I normally come home and lay on the floor, reflecting. I don't know why, I like to lay on the floor. I tend to find myself every now and again laying on the floor.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I tend to come back and lay on the floor and just reflect and go over things. And if it was a good match, kind of like a nice laying on the floor.
Okay. Amy sent another question in. She says, what music do you like listening to?
My playlist is such a mix. I've got like from metal to hard rock, which I love hard rock, and then to country music.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's kind of like mine as well. Like, you could listen to like a hard rock song and then you just go from country. It's like, what the hell am I doing?
That's just my emotions in general. That explains how easily I sleep. So yeah, it depends on my mood. But I love all music. It really has to just resonate with what I'm feeling at the time. That's generally, or it can either uplift what you're feeling. I love music.
Music's the go-to thing, and like I said, you said hard rock, which is my type of favorite genre, by the way.
Yeah, hard rocks. You can't beat hard rock. You can put that on. It's just straight away your energies.
Absolutely. One Breezy said, would Gibbs like to wrestle in Australia?
I did this year.
Come on, Breezy, where you been?
I was in Perth.
What was that experience like?
Oh, amazing. Australia is, yeah. I mean, it was very hot. Like the humidity. I mean, I'm going to Japan in their sort of summer, so I'm sure I'm going to be experiencing that there as well. But that was tough, the heat.
Yeah, I've been to a wrestling show once in the UK where the heat was absolutely horrendous. It was horrible.
Okay.
It was like a heat wave type thing. Sorry.
I don't think I've ever struggled with the heat so much in the UK.
Oh dear. This is a good one. What's the end goal for Sadie Gibbs in wrestling?
See, this question always gets me because I don't necessarily have. Of course, we all, as a wrestler, you all want a bit of security in terms of having a contract in place. But my journey in wrestling isn't necessarily about destination now. It's like just feels like it's part of who I am, and I'm just enjoying the journey to myself. The more I'm doing wrestling and traveling here and there, I'm learning more and more about myself. And yeah, I don't have an end goal in such of obtaining something. It's more about just the journey and where it takes me, who it takes me to, the relationships you get to develop, and the connections. And it's the journey for me at the moment. And I think that's what it should be in everything in life, because that's when you enjoy it more. If you make it about a destination, that's when you, like you said, the frustration comes in and why am I not here yet? Why am I not there yet? I know I'm back wrestling for a reason. And until my mind tells me I shouldn't be doing that, or my intuition tells me to take another path, I'm just enjoying the journey.
Absolutely. So a few little more questions, obviously, just begin to wind down and stuff like that. What's obviously the goal for you now? Do you know for the rest of the year?
For the rest of 2025?
Yes.
At the moment, I'm just focused. This is what I said. I try not to think too far ahead. I'm focused on Japan and just really killing it out there. And again, the way I've already developed and grown as the Undefinable throughout 2024 to now, I just can't wait to evolve and develop and shine even further, really, in this tour. So we'll see what comes of it. But at the moment, this tour is my focus.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people think too far ahead, and I've done that before, and I'm like, what am I doing? Because then things obviously can happen, you know, on the way. Like, you know, injuries as an example as a wrestler.
You can have goals and stuff, but you can't plan because anything can happen. You know, pandemic proved that to everyone, I think. You just enjoy what you're doing and focus on, what's ahead at that time.
Absolutely. So we're going to end on this question what Warren Breezy says, because I kind of like what he said here. How would you define success?
Oh, I like this question. So this is something that I've been going over in my head over and over the last year, I'd say. But success, if defined for me, because I think, again, success is something that's undefinable because it's different for each and every individual. But success for me is generally just waking up with a love for my life and a joy in everything that I'm doing. Just, a life that I love. That's success for me. And it just fills me up. When I think about my future, I'm filled up and excited. And just a sense of security as well. A sense of security in your life, I think, is really important to feel successful as well.
That is an incredible thing to end on. Sadie, hopefully you've enjoyed yourself. It's been an absolute blast, you know, talking to yourself. Hopefully the talk as well. Do you know what I mean? Safe journeys.
Yeah, thank you.
So before we say it off, is there anything you'd like to plug?
Sorry?
Is there anything you'd like to plug?
Just follow me on my socials, keep up with what I'm doing, and support me on this journey.
Absolutely. We'll put all the links in the description of this video so fans can jump straight from this to go support Sadie Gibbs and stuff like that. I will say one thing. Her Instagram is really entertaining. I'm just going to say that. So one final thing I need from yourself now. Everyone I interview gets to do the outro for this show. So you can say anything you want. You can promote anything you want, and I will hit the outro. Take it away.
You aren't defined by who you think you are. You're defined by who you want to be.
There you go. That's an incredible thing to end on.